The LMC casts a wide net over the Sound Shore to bring you local event info, profiles, and conversations. Recorded in the heart of the village in Mamaroneck Cinemas at the studio on the Avenue, LMC Media brings you the LMC Cast Community Profiles.
Hi, this is Mike Reynolds. Welcome to LMC Cast Community Profile. I'm a longtime Mamaroneck resident. Our children went through the Mamaroneck school system, Central, Homix, and then the high school. Like their parents, both are college grads. They also hold master's degrees. Both had scholarships to various degrees and incurred some student loan debt to finance their education. Yours truly is still paying a bit. Today we're going to speak with Nancy Goodman. She is the founder and executive director of College Money Matters. Nancy is a Larchmont resident who's going to be kind enough to share some of her acumen, knowledge, tips, and best practices to help students and their families navigate the college financial waters. How are you doing today, Nancy?
I'm great. Thanks very much.
All right. Where did you go to school?
So I went to school at Penn State, which is a state university, which is probably the number one thing people should consider when they're looking at colleges, is to have a financial safety school in your mix, something that's less expensive. But also, you know, it was a long time ago, and college was a lot cheaper then.
Amen.
Yeah.
Congrats on the women's volleyball 8th national championship. Condolences on losing in the semifinals to Notre Dame in the college first ever 12-team college football playoffs.
Yeah, that was tough.
All right. Anyway, how did College Money Matters come to be? Why did you put this together?
So I retired from a 33-year career at Citibank, and I was helping local kids that were college-bound, mentoring kids that were
Right.
college-bound, and I saw what they were up against when it came to trying to pay for college, the complexity of financial aid, the problems with not understanding student loans and borrowing. And I helped a few kids one-on-one, and then I thought, you know, maybe if I started a website, I could reach more kids and have a bigger impact. And so I set to work learning what I needed to know. And with 33 years of banking experience and a master's in business administration, it still took me 6 months
Really?
to figure it all
Now, how
out.
long has it been around now?
The website started in 2021, really.
Okay.
And then
You recently revamped it,
We
right?
revamped it, and when I get a chance, I'll tell you a little bit about what we did and why we did
Okay.
that. But I do want to say that we started in 21, and last year we had 62,000 people come to the website and view the contents.
Wow.
And we're seeing like 1,500 people a week. So my mission, which was to reach more than 2 or 3 a year, at least that's
done
accomplished.
You've done that, right? Okay. Any sense? So 62,000, that was in 24, the 23, 24. That's across the country. Do you have a sense for where the people are coming from?
Yes. Google is wonderful this way. It gives you
Okay.
all the analytics. So we're seeing mostly from the areas with the largest school districts. So
Okay.
New York is big, LA is big, Houston is big, Atlanta is big,
Okay.
Washington, D.C. area. So, of course, you know, it's a website. You can view it
Sure.
from anywhere.
Right.
But we're seeing the most attention from places that have big school districts.
Okay. And again, Larchmont, Mamaroneck, a sensibility for families taking advantage of the information they can grab locally.
Well, I wish I knew.
Okay.
Because one of
The data's anonymous?
yes, so one of the things we've done to make this site attractive to schools and parents and kids is there are no ads. It drives me crazy on websites where they tell you, don't borrow from private student lenders, and then it's
Here it
followed
is.
by
Sure.
600
Yeah,
ads from
right,
student
right.
lenders. So there's no advertising. There is it's not necessary to sign in. So we don't collect any names or addresses, and we don't. So therefore, you can feel people who go there can feel safe. Their privacy is protected.
Okay.
On the other hand, it prevents us from having stats. But I will say this, Mamaroneck School District has linked to our site on their college and career page.
Okay.
I spoke to New Rochelle High School a couple of weeks ago. They're planning to do it. And YPI, which is Yonkers Partners in Education, does it, as well as a few other nonprofits in Westchester.
Okay. So the site has what kind of information? And you, again, I jumped the gun a little bit before, and you've recently upgraded
I
it?
did. So we started out, and where my headset was loans. Let's teach kids and their families what are the implications of borrowing,
Right.
so that they don't borrow too much, and so they don't end up in a debt crisis later, which is, the big mess that everybody's in. So, like I like to say, you can't unborrow. You can only not borrow.
Okay.
So we started out with this view towards, let's teach people about loans. And I think loans turned out to be like one of the most boring and unengaging subjects that we ever ran into.
Okay.
So, but yet the site was getting 1,500 views a week. I mean, a lot of people were coming, and they were coming looking at financial aid and other parts of the site. And we talked about loans throughout the site. So we showed it to a bunch of community college students, and they said, oh, we don't think about it this way. There's only two real things we think about: applying to college
Okay.
and paying for college. And paying is where loans goes. It's a means to the
Right.
pay. So we went, oh, wow, nothing like listening to the user. So we revamped the whole site, and now the beginning is applying to schools with a view towards applying to affordable schools in your mix.
Okay.
Right? And sometimes that even includes things like applying to a school that's less selective, because a less selective school really wants you,
Right.
and they may give you more
Right,
scholarships.
sure.
Right? So the other big idea is, along with what the students said, we think about applying to schools and we think about paying for schools. That's the way it usually goes down in a family. Kids apply to their schools, their dream schools. There's a lot of discussion about that. And then they get their financial aid package, and they see how much it's going to cost, and then there's a crisis.
Right.
Right? There's either big arguments with mom and dad, or everybody ends up borrowing too much money, or
Right.
more than they should or could really afford. And so we're trying to move the conversation about, hey, how much money do we have in this family or can afford to borrow to spend on this?
Right.
So we're trying to put the money conversation up front. So we have applying to college, financial aid, how it works,
Okay.
which is a lot of content. We have paying for college, which is scholarships, loans, and savings. And then we have a section called Before You Decide, because
Which is probably the most important thing, huh?
I think so. And what we have there is, people, I'm a banker, but a lot of people don't necessarily know how to calculate if they borrow $5,500 this year and $6,500 this year, and it's a different interest rate. And then
Right.
at the end of the day, like, how much are they going to afford? Or this financial aid package that has this much in loans, and this financial aid
Right.
package that has that much in loans, but more. How do you compare them? But people have done this work, and there are models online
Okay.
where students and families can go when they get the packages, or even before, punch in the information, their information, and then see
What the reality
what the
really-
reality is. So I was creating a model yesterday, and I realized that at today's student loan rate, which is 6.53%, the highest it's been in many years,
Okay.
if you borrow $5,500, which is the max the government will lend a student in their freshman year,
Okay.
when you've paid it back after 10 years after you graduate,
I
you're
don't
going
want
to
to
pay.
hear the punchline,
You
everyone.
want to hear it?
Yes.
$9,000.
Okay.
You borrow $5,500, you're going to pay back
okay,
$9,000.
right.
So, yeah, you you, mom, dad, may not know how to create an amortization equation, but it's there on the internet.
Right.
And so before you decide, we show people, go here for this, go here for this.
And so you have specifics for college A versus college B, and that
we
information?
we have a site you can go to and punch in your information for college A and college B, and it'll do the comparison for
Really?
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't create it. What
Right.
I've done is I've taken the best of the stuff that's out there.
Right.
And I've put it on the website so that people can easily find credible
Right.
resources.
Do any of the schools know what you're doing, or do they want to get involved with you to say, yes, let's put our best foot, let's let Nancy help us put our best foot forward to prospective students?
Well, that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
I'm trying to reach as many school counselors as I can,
Okay.
especially the college counselors, because now a lot of high schools have college access websites.
Right.
And my hope is they would feel comfortable linking, because College Money Matters to us is a nonprofit. Nothing on the website is controversial.
Right.
It's all fact-based. And it focuses on the paying side, where a lot of the high schools are really caught up on the admissions side.
Sure, which right,
You know.
that makes sense.
So anyway, just to finish the new site, and then we have a section on student stories, where we've interviewed students and they've told us their experiences, good and bad,
Okay.
and what happened. And then our last category, and you were talking about your daughter, you can relate to this, is a parents category, which includes things like what does it mean to co-sign on a loan? What are the risks to you and the benefits? What does it mean? What's a Parent Plus loan? So that's a loan that's made by the federal government that parents can take out on their students' behalf. And the interest rates on those loans today are 9.08%, which is just huge.
Yeah.
So anyway, section for parents too.
Right.
So that's the way it lays out today.
Okay. Again, the focus, I like schools. I want to be admitted. There's a monthly payment. We're not necessarily worrying that you might be paying this for however many years afterward. When should parents and their children first have a discussion about what the true cost of college financing may be?
That's an ongoing conversation. I think in maybe the middle of the junior year or the second.
Not sooner?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think what parents should be talking to kids about sooner is more basic financial literacy questions like, what's a budget? How does money come in? How does it go? How does it go out? How to use a credit card in the right way? Savings. I think those conversations should happen earlier. And then I think by junior year, it's time for a sit down with your kid and say, look, this is how much money we've put aside. This is how much money we can borrow given our incomes.
Right.
This is how much you're going to borrow. You can borrow from the federal government. Let's put a cap on what we can afford, and it's this amount.
Sounds like it should be a high school class.
Well, 33 states in the United States have required financial literacy classes
Really?
for graduation, but New York is not among them.
Okay. Makes sense.
I just want to add one thing that just adds to the complexity for families, is that the schools have a price on their website. So if you'll go to a school and it will have a tuition number and have a room and board number. But depending on the school, maybe only half of the people pay that actual number.
Right.
So it's very hard to tell as a family what any given school is going to cost, because you might get financial aid that may make it much cheaper for you.
Right.
And depending on your income level, you might get a Pell Grant from the government, which would also make it cheaper. So we've also put in some ways to take a guess at what a particular school might
Right.
cost you.
So if you have X, Y, and Z, this may translate into this.
Exactly. If you have these kind of grades, this kind of family income,
Right.
and sometimes there's some other criteria. But it depends. You could expect from Cornell to get this amount in financial aid.
Right.
In as far as Pell Grants, you can find that out with the FAFSA.
I was going to say that's FAFSA. You say FAFSA, I say FAFSA. FAFSA. Okay. So that's still a thing. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in school, a long time since you, but that's still the thing.
That is still
everybody's favorite thing.
Everybody's favorite thing. But I will say this, despite the fact that last year was this complete operational disaster, it's gotten a lot easier to fill out
I was
now.
going to ask
they
you.
have way fewer questions.
Okay.
And instead of you having to figure out what thing from your income tax statement goes in line 6, it just ports your income tax statement right over and does it itself.
The joys of tech, because back in the day, those were handwritten from year to year.
I know, and it was like, even it's your combined, adjusted, gross income, which is the line you want. So I think FAFSA is getting better.
Okay.
But on the subject of FAFSA, one of the things that people don't know, and this is relevant for our area where there are some wealthy people, is it's not just to qualify you for Pell Grants that are income-based. FAFSA also qualifies you for student loans.
Okay.
And student loans are not income-based. So, Bill Gates lived here. He could get a student loan at the student loan rate.
Okay.
So I think it's important for people to understand, even if they're wealthy, they should still fill out the FAFSA.
I got you. You had mentioned Parent Plus loans before. Kind of give folks what that means, and dangers, outcomes are not necessarily what you might think.
Parent Plus loans are a really interesting phenomenon, because it used to be that you had to, as a parent, you needed to have a credit check, and you needed to show that you had income enough to pay back the loan. But in the, I think it was the Clinton administration, really, they wanted to get more minorities into college. They really saw this as a way to improve equality in this country. And so they took some of the guardrails off the Parent Plus loans. So now you no longer have to prove that you have the income to support the loan. And so a lot of people have gotten in trouble in that, although Parent Plus loans are only about 6% of the total student loans.
Okay.
But, problematic.
I had asked before about when families should start really thinking about this. But as we get into this, as you're now a senior in high school and next year is your big year, can you give some sense, November, December, what you should be doing, what should happen in the intervening months as decisions are made for many in March, April? It's been a long time. I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh, that's a terrific question and really, really important. So usually the FAFSA form comes out in October.
Okay.
All right. This year it's December because they're still fixing last year's problems. So the first thing you got to do right away is fill out the FAFSA. And the reason to fill it out early is FAFSA also qualifies you for work study. So if you want to work while you're in school, and those jobs are first come, first serve.
Okay.
All right. So in October, you would fill out the FAFSA. I would say in the summer before your senior year, if you could write your essay, that would be good. One more thing behind you before you have to take classes.
Okay.
All right. Then you really want to keep getting good grades. And then what a lot of people don't know, and it would be great if they did, is that scholarships, to apply for scholarships, the deadlines, a lot of them are December 31st, and a whole bunch of others are March 31st.
Wow, okay.
So what we're seeing from the analytics on our website is people wait until they get into school in March to start looking for scholarships, and they've missed the boat.
Sure.
But when I told a parent, well, while your kid's applying in the fall, in September, October, November, she should be also applying for scholarships.
Right.
The parent said to me, what planet are you on? You know, I mean, this is so much for them to do. So, but that's what you have to do.
That's what you have to do.
And
so, to that extent, so you've missed the deadline. So, you get accepted, and now you're going to school, and maybe you're paying really a lot in your freshman year, with the hope that if you did your homework this second time around as a sophomore, you're getting some relief.
You can. That was going to say that's the hope. You know, scholarships don't go away.
Okay.
And I'd like to just give a shout out to the Mamaroneck Larchmont Student Aid Fund, which is a resource not to be missed for people in this area who are looking for support. So anyway, to finish your question, so then you do the applications. They're mostly done by December 31st. It's important to consider having not only an academic safety school, but also a financial safety school.
Okay.
And then there's sort of a waiting period. And I think the best thing to do, which is where we are right now, in January, February, is do some math. What kind of loans might you take out? What they might cost you? What seems reasonable? And then when you get the financial aid packages, you can look at the data and plug it in.
Gauge it much better that way.
I just want to also add that this financial timeline thing you're talking about, college application timeline, we have a downloadable schedule on the website, so people can keep it on their phone or pin it on their wall or whatever.
I got you. What kind of, again, ballpark figure, scholarship money is available from, I take it from basically all schools, and the average student might get X percentage of their college costs via scholarship? Is there any data that way?
Okay, so each college boasts or posts.
Okay.
So I think you can go to NYU, which is a very expensive school, and it says on their website, 47% of the applicants get financial aid. So in a lot of places, it's half or more than half.
Okay.
So.
And is that reasonable money, or is that $100?
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay.
It's reasonable money, but you still are always going to end up short.
Right, sure. Of course.
And when you begin to look, really the best bargains for students are commute a couple of years.
Okay.
And then go to a public
college.
So
I think we were talking before again about SUNY opportunities here in New York versus CUNY.
Yeah, CUNY. So this is, if the audience here is Westchester County, New York, the only SUNY school in Westchester County, other than Westchester Community College, which is also a fine place to start, is SUNY Purchase, which is basically an arts school.
Sure, absolutely.
So you're really in a difficult position if you want to go to a state university or a low-price college. However, we do have New York City nearby, and the city university colleges are $6,000 or $7,000 a year in tuition, which is way less than some of our local private colleges.
Sure.
And so I think it's something that people should really consider.
And do you find that, again, as you've been doing this now for a while, or is that a choice that more families are making?
I think it is. Just before I came, I looked up borrowing, what percentage of undergrads are borrowing to go to college, and it has been steadily declining.
Okay.
Even now, it's 38%.
Okay.
But since 2010, it's been dropping. So people are getting smarter about borrowing and seeking out colleges where they can get a good education.
And our families, again, your son or daughter is born, start investing in their college fund from the get-go. Is that happening to any degree?
Anyone that can afford it.
Right.
But, in a world where a lot of people don't have a spare $400 of cash to cover an emergency, it's hard to put away money.
I got you.
But now when my friends have grandchildren and stuff, I don't give any toys. I just put the money in 529 investments. I say, you're going to thank me later.
Teddy bears are 529.
Yeah,
huh?
exactly. Let's put that money in 529.
Okay.
So, and I would just like to say one more neighborhoody thing. There's been a lot of discussion about undocumented immigrants in this country. However, it still is okay to fill out the FAFSA if your parents are undocumented and don't have Social Security numbers. And there are some, but not as much as you would like, scholarships for undocumented students themselves. But a lot of the situations we have locally are the students are documented. It's the parents that have an issue, and it's still okay to apply.
Biden administration, not in office anymore. He made a lot of attempts to revamp student loan forgiveness and the like. The upshot, whatever really happened, did it happen? Is it still something that could happen?
So a lot of people did get loan forgiveness.
Okay.
Under the Biden administration, and there still are a couple of plans that actually date back to the Obama administration.
Oh, really? Okay.
Especially if you're working in the nonprofit world. But the whole point that College Money Matters is trying to get to is if we can reach people before they borrow, and we can help families be smarter, we don't have to deal with the forgiveness end because we won't have people getting in trouble in the first place. And so our way of thinking about this is, based on my experience, when you lay it out for people, even for 17-year-olds, they see it and they get it. If you show them, this is how much you're going to borrow, this is how much you're going to make in the job you think you want, minus taxes, minus health care, and your student loan payment is going to be $500 a month. They go, they make smarter choices. So that's our mission, is to get the information out so that more people can make smarter choices.
All right. For those interested, and even if you're look earlier, in my view, look earlier, but collegematters.org, is that?
It's collegemoneymatters.org.
Okay.
And if you go on the site and you want to, you can sign up for the newsletter, which is 1 or 2 times a month, relevant, timely information. And there's a Contact Us button. So if you have something you want to say to me, I answer all the responses, all the questions personally, and I welcome any feedback or thoughts on the site.
All right, everybody who's been watching, listening, let's make Nancy really busy. Thank you, thank you, Nancy, for joining us. And this is some great information for families as they get ready. It's a major decision, academically, personally, and financially.
It is. So, thank you so much for having me.
This is Mike Reynolds for LMC Community Cast Profile. Thanks again, Nancy, and we'll catch up next time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the LMC Cast Community Profiles, produced at LMC Media's studio on the Avenue. Visit lmcmedia.org to book your time in this state-of-the-art convenient location, walkable from the Metro North train station on Mamaroneck Avenue. You can also support this nonprofit media center at lmcmedia.org/donate.